Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. In this podcast, I want us to look at the mind-blowing revelations from Macau Mutua-led technical committee that was set up to find a framework of facilitating checks that are supposed to be given to corpses. And of course, this is in the spirit of what the president says is implementing the 10-point agenda agreed between ODM and the UDA party. I must say here, I've looked at the revelations of that framework, and it is outwardly clear that anything that comes out as president's initiative, while of course, the victims of protest, of those who were killed during the protest, are supposed to receive it as a token of appeasing them, then probably as a or rather as a compensation. But the truth of the matter is that this is purely political gimmick. And in this podcast, I want us to look at that keenly, so that you also find out really, in a real assessment, what is the objective of that plan. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos, and thank you very much for supporting this podcast. We do this each and every day because of your support, and kindly subscribe. Subscription is absolutely free. The advantage of subscription here is when you subscribe to a channel, you'll be getting notifications whenever we publish our videos. And without much ado, I want us to go straight to the point. 14 days ago, the President of Republic of Kenya, not 14 days, 7 days ago, established what, according to him, is a technical team that are going to review and come out with a framework of how to pay protest victims. Much of what was not known to the members of the public is the move from President Ruto came after U.S. Senate launched a 108 days investigation into the violation of human rights that were actually perpetrated by the state. And they're saying that just based on that finding, they will initiate the process of cutting ties with Kenya as a U.S. non-NATO ally. And the U.S. was supposed to do the investigations for 80 days. Then the president set up that team and gave them 120 days to come up and be able to do the compensation. Of course, sometimes I wonder, 120 days is actually 4 months. 180 days is 6 months. So within 4 months, this technical committee are supposed to advise the president on how this is going to be done. As I always say, a technical committee is actually a delay tactic. Is a delay to make sure that the conversation about compensating victims doesn't get anywhere. Now, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Standard story today, the committee is considering compensating 100 families. They've said in the first phase, 100 families. Now, let's look at the snoggering about it. That is the first revelation from that committee. That when the president announced, they said, we want to compensate families from 2017 all the way to 2025. Before you even go to 2017, just in 2023 alone, Azimio-led protests, I remember the mass service that was done in Karen, Kalonzo Musyoka's command center, and this is an event that personally we attended. So they used to, you'll come, they printed, Azimio la Umoja printed the names of those who had been killed by the police at that time. And more than 80 names were actually on the wall. That was 2023 alone. When it came to 2024, of course, there were more than 100 people that died in the J24 protest. And then you can look at J25 protest that happened. Now, this is why I want to tell you that anything that is coming from President Ruto is actually a fraud. Apart from just the 100, you'll want to ask how. How are they going to be picked? Number one, the priority is going to be given to the active cases, those who have active cases and have been appearing in court. For example, the Rex one, the Ndumberi one. If your son or your daughter or your child was killed and you had already sued the state and the case is active in court, then that is the second criteria on what is going to be picked. Now, I want you to see the rationale around it. Most cases which are active in court are the ones that went viral. I remember on J24, on J23, June 2023, I think the J24 protest, Rex Matai was the first Gen Z to be shot in the streets of Nairobi in the run-up to the J24 protest. So, and why are they targeting that? This is this first strategy, and I've spoken to one of the human rights activists here, a very member of this channel, who is saying targeting of the active cases in court is to weaken pursuance of those cases. So, for example, if Rex Masai's mother is supposed to appear in court, the complainant, the accused in court is the state. And immediately, Rex Masai's parents walks out of court, then they head to State House and they are paraded there with photos with the president carrying checks that are supposed to be given to those corpses, to the families of the victims. Then that is number one. One condition that will certainly come is that the cases would be withdrawn. And this is the stand. It is actually a mediation process. For example, someone has killed your son, and because this person has money, it is some orthodox means that I pay you, then withdraw the cases. And the first objective of that is to make sure that the cases are withdrawn. Because this is what some lawyer argued. How will you stand strong to demand justice, to appear in court, and to push the cases after you receive the compensation? A compensation is first an admission of guilt, and you've been paid, and the lawyers are actually saying that the next phase, when those cases are brought to court, those families will likely not appear in court. And let me say at this point, it will be a betrayal of the cause. It will be grand betrayal of the people if after a parent receives money, that is done and this is done, then you feel you sanitize the state. You are told, now I forgive you. You say, now I forgive you. Let's move on. Remember, there would be more protests. The protest that happened in the country was organic. And the young people and the people of Kenya have realized that when we are dissatisfied, when things are not going our way, we can register our anger by asking the president questions. So you look at that first condition of it. Number two, apart from, and that is the strategy of going for the first 100. Let me even tell you, US is doing investigations for the next 180 days. So they have agencies and civil society organizations in Kenya who are collecting this evidence for them and putting them up together. Remember, they don't just come as US embassy. They will do it through civil society organizations that quite have linked. Many they can fund some locally here. And so the families who are supposed to testify for the US report will likely not get that latitude to go after such a huge compensation. And let me tell you, the minimum amount is set out at 1 million. The minimum amount is set out at 1 million. Now, if you look at how the whole thing is ridiculed, it's a riddle of the whole, how the riddle of the compensation. Do you know that it's going to look at life on what's the age? That the compensation amount and the framework is also going to be set out on the age of the deceased. You know, I want you to think of it. J24, quite a number of university students were shot dead, found dumped in rivers, some found dumped in some thickets. So if you look at age, there is that university student, and then there is the 8-year-old girl, Bridget Wenina, who was shot in Dumberi, and actually while playing na mamake, playing akiwa kwa nyumba amekaa na mamake, a very rogue police officer fired a bullet inside a mabati house, and that bullet hit a log, alafu ikaenda ikagonga kichwa, ikaingia kichwa ya mtoto, and the child died, mama akiona. A grade 6 girl just died that way. Grade 5 girl just died that way. I want you to compare also, and also look now, so this is part of the argument. For example, for this mother in Dumberi, hata ukifika kwake na 1 million or 2 million, and then you come to, and you compare that with the life of a girl who was still in, do you think that 1 million can be worth the life of that girl? Can it be worth? It's not. Look at the second example I was giving you, the example of the girl in, even though the Dumberi one. Look at the second example of the university student. Mama amesomesha mtoto mpaka university. Then the protest, the boy is killed. And then there is another set out example, another group they're also looking at are those who are shot and there is no lobby group around them. Remember, for the colleges, for the university students, they are targeting them because they believe that those are in the hearts of students, and if they do compensation, probably they're going to appease the comrades. There is another category that is being left out. This is the category people who were just brought to the hospitals with gunshot wounds and succumbed there, while there is no trace of police officers involved in such a shooting, or no evidence that so and so was shot by a police officer. I want you to remember one time, just during J24, we supported one family from Kiambu, Evans Kiratu. I remember that boy. Evans Kiratu was actually a hawker. I remember that story very well. I don't know whether I have that image here. I will really show you. I visited the mother here. I think this is the photo. Yeah. I visited the mother of Evans Kiratu here. This is J24 last year. This guy, the boy had just been shot. Alikuwa na hawk too. Now that group is being left out. Why? Because the team are arguing, the state argues that, remember this narrative of criminal elements who infiltrated protest. In fact, in the understanding of, or rather the framework, the anchor point here is the only genuine protesters were the university students. Any other person who are not, the other civilians, are actually the bunch of goons and criminals. And so this is the point. If at J25, who was shot in front of someone's shop, to say this was a criminal, this was vandalizing this and that. And even by that, are the police justified to shoot someone to the extent of killing? Remember, who else has bullets and guns in the streets apart from the police? So look at that outrageous angle that this is actually taking. The other revelation is this, that they're going to look also where the victim is coming from. And it's targeting two regions. They're going to look at majorly the Mount Kenya and the Nyanza region. But I want you to see the politics in it. This statement was made, this compensation thing was, revelation came out the day the president was going to attend a burial of Phoebe CEO, the veteran political woman from Karachuan. That is the day it was revealed, and she said it there. Since then, there's been no report. And as we talk to date, there is no public appeal or public awareness created for people and families of bereaved to present their names or their cases to relevant agencies just to look into this matter. And let me cap it here by saying, money cannot bring back right to life. The best of what should actually happen, the court should, the cases should come to logical conclusion, and for president to save himself, leave alone at this point you are trying to get cheap political bonga points and, trying to play around like I'm going to appease the family. The family is this. The more perpetrators are getting away with such ills, we are actually emboldening them. We are telling them that is the world order and it is cool to kill. Don't worry about it. Even if you kill, you will still get away with it. The best we should actually do is to make sure that get the CCTV footages, get the chain of command. The base and police commanders, the file and rank, knows very well who was where at what point, how many guns left, how many came back. For example, when the police leaves the station, it's not difficult to know who killed who. You know why? Polisi yetu unaona anabeba bunduki. From that gun, the bullet in that gun, they know very well police station X is carrying gun X with X bullet. They know. So from the other end, if you collect, and of course, because postmortem was done, you go and collect bullet yenye iko kwa victim Y, you can easily tally, correlate and see hii bullet imepatikana kwa person X ilikuwa na policy W. So that you bring these people, even if you can't do it public, but I wish you try the police and make them individually liable. That is the only way. That is the only way we are going to heal the country, and we're going to stop further, unless we are spectators in the killings of innocent children. We can do better. Thank you.